we watched the Monster-thon. This was like 5-6 years ago. I don't even know when we started. It was like 2018-ish. 2018. Yeah, we started the Monster-thon where we watched every single Universal monster movie ever made. And we go down this journey. And every single time we're complaining about the same things, like, oh, the camera really doesn't move because it's an old-timey movie and it's like a play. Oh, everyone looks like Clark Gable because that's like the mustache vibe back then, all this stuff. But the main thing that really got me was the crossover films, like specifically Frankenstein meets the Wolfman. If you look at that film, if you look at the poster, just the poster of it, if you've never seen it at all, that poster promises such an awesome premise. And you watch that movie and you get an hour of people talking, Lon Chaney just stumbling into a village kind of drunk, and Frankenstein just thaws out of the ice, and they, in the last like 2 minutes maybe, they strangle each other for a bit and everything blows up and it says the end. And it's like, are you shitting me? House of Frankenstein is the one after it, and it's got all three. That's Dracula, Frankenstein, Wolfman. Okay, that's a big deal. The tagline is all together, and it lists them all. And that's, oh my God, that's like the fucking NBA All-Stars of Universal Monsters.
I find those posters hilarious because they count generic mad scientist and random hunchback among the monsters.
Yeah, they put them all together. That counts as a monster, which is hilarious. But okay, that's a cool premise. Let's put them all together. It's great. And you watch that film. The first half is a solo Dracula film, and he just dies halfway through. And then the second half, Frankenstein and Wolfman unthaw from ice, and they have a strangle contest for 2 minutes, and then it ends. And it's like,
they don't even. They're in the same room, and like occasionally Talbot stands next to the monster while it's on the table. They don't even interact, ever.
Oh my God. So all three monsters don't interact with each other, which is the point of putting them together. The only one that was mildly interesting was Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein, because they're actually involved in the story together. Dracula is controlling Frankenstein. Wolfman's got to stop him. They're all part of the same story. And the same is not true of the rest of the movies. So I kept saying to myself, well, what if the crossovers were good movies? What if you maintained the gothic horror tone of Dracula and Frankenstein, like the Mary Shelley and Bram Stoker books, not just the movies? You maintain that tone, and you introduce these characters separately, and then when they converge, you have that interplay. You have them interacting with each other. Think about all the monster mashes in your life, like what, Hotel Transylvania and Abbott and Costello? Those are like jokes, like literally. And
Monster Squad.
Monster Squad. And like, that's fine. I'm glad those exist. But every single time there's a monster mash, it's played off for comedy. I finally said, fuck it. I've been complaining about 100 years worth of cinema of them not doing what they could be doing to make a good movie. So I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. And I decided to write a book. The book is called The Devil's League. I got the title because The Devil's Brood was the original title for House of Frankenstein.
And yes, it was. And they were going to have more monsters in it.
They were going to have even more, which would have been awesome if they'd actually done that.
The Mummy, the Ape Woman, and the Invisible Man.
Please throw them in. Ape Woman got 3 movies. You couldn't have put her in one house. Anyway, you only made 2 house movies, mind you. But in any case, the concept of the book, I really wanted to focus on the fact that they're all independent stories with their own lives, and then they converge. So the independent stories in the book are throughout human history, going back as far as like thousands of years ago, but like, you know, throughout historical events that humans have done and been part of. There's like, you know, a werewolf in the 60s during Vietnam, or there's a vampire in ancient Greece. Like, there's so many aspects to this, and then there's original ones too that aren't even general myths or folklore like that. Like, I've, you know, created some as well. And the premise of the book is that it all could have happened. There's no mummy storming everything with a big sandstorm and a big face that goes blah, like, because that'd be on every news story ever. Like, I want it to be as if they could be existing right now, which is, I think, more interesting. But they all converge. It is the movie that, had Universal made a movie like this in the 40s or the 80s or the right now, that would be your money. That would be your fresh and Rotten Tomatoes. That would be your not a bomb like Renfield or Voyage of the Demeter, although I like both of those movies. This could be the way in. This is it. I feel so strongly about this because I've spent 73 movies and videos on YouTube in the playlist of Universal Monster-thon just sitting there waiting for this to happen. And I've seen every single one. I've seen fucking Monster Squad, which isn't even Universal. I've seen House of the Wolfman, the fan film. And they fuck it up the same as the house movies. I guess it's faithful. You know, I guess it's like an honorary adaptation because, damn, they do the same mistakes. And I just finally wanted to see a story that interwove all of them. And mind you, if you've ever wanted, this is my final spiel because I've gone off a little bit long. If you've ever wanted a Universal monster movie with perfect attendance, this is it. And I cannot find it anywhere else, whether it's a movie, a book, a TV show. It just does not exist, except for Hotel Transylvania because it's a comedy.
Van Helsing?
Van Helsing, they got a lot. It's one of the closest ones. They got like 4 types of monster, maybe 5, but that's still not perfect attendance. I challenge you, good sir, if you read this book and there's a Universal monster you have in mind that isn't there, I challenge you to find it.
Creeper?
He's there, baby. He's there. Now, granted, here's the thing. I obviously don't own Universal, so I don't have the rights. I'm not making a fan project. That's not what this is.
Well, those Creeper movies are public domain now, I think.
Yeah, I could rip them off if I wanted to, but I did none of that for any of the movies. I made original characters. There's just a vampire king who takes very heavily after Bram Stoker's interpretations. The rules of the vampires are almost identical, which means that sunlight doesn't blow them up like every movie you've ever seen.
Good.
Yeah, right? It's the first one. But because Bram Stoker didn't do that. There's an artificial person who was created by a scientist. There's things like that, but they're all original characters. They're all together. This is the movie that I've been waiting to have exist. It is a book. It is 300 and some odd pages, and the last chapter is a bunch of artwork. It's a journal written by one of the characters about him hunting the monsters. So he's got all the details about the lore and stuff, and that took so long to do, and I'm so proud of it.
I can imagine.